Please welcome Dr. Karyn Gordon, who joins us to talk about talking to our kids. And it doesn't really matter what you're talking about, but sitting down and having, you know, a serious conversation with either your daughter or your son can be two very different experiences because they're two different people, different types of people.
Absolutely.
We all know men and women are different, and you know, it starts from when they're young.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the points you would give us if you want to have a conversation with your son. A lot of parents have a hard time doing this.
Yeah. So all the tips I'm about to share with you, I just want to really start off by saying that some of these may apply to your daughters versus your sons, and vice versa. So I'm going to kind of give a bit of a framework, but for all parents at home watching, just think about what kind of relates to your particular situation.
Okay.
Because some of these tips, some of the girl tips, I'm thinking, boy, these could actually apply really nicely to the boys as well. But you know, just to kind of give us a bit of a framework. Okay, so number one with boys, I love working with boys and with guys. And so I find that these tips work really well whether or not you've got a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old, doesn't really matter, or maybe your husband at home, kind of little mental note, this actually might work. So one of them is actually talk sideways. And I actually learned this, I've been practicing for 17 years, and I actually found that if I asked a guy a question and I gave him like eye contact like this, his anxiety would be kind of through the roof. Like if I said, you know, how are you feeling about that? Right?
I'm okay.
Right, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm fine,
good.
no problem, right? And I found that the eye contact was really scary for them. So what I did is actually I have a chalkboard in my office, and I would actually put something up on my board that would actually force us to turn our ways
so
to
you're
face
sitting
it.
sideways.
Right, so now we're actually talking sideways.
Right.
And as soon as you have like less eye contact, the anxiety actually goes down.
Very interesting.
It's amazing.
Like, I'm sure
with
we
boys.
could spend a show talking about why that is.
Yes, and you know what, I've actually seen, now we're actually talking to the audience. See?
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
How are you?
And what's really interesting about this is that we've actually done, there's been a lot of studies around as young as age 4, you can actually see boys, in terms of their eye contact, their anxiety tends to go up.
So how come, Karyn, they say that when you talk to your kids, you're supposed to come down to their level and have eye level with them.
And so the whole point is to say that I want both. Okay, so what I don't want is parents to only be talking sideways now with their kids, because that's not going to be good for their sons or their future, future husbands. But to realize that, especially if you're having that kind of heart-to-heart conversation, the sideways is actually, you're going to get more from them. You actually want to look for natural environments. So cars, that's why cars is one of the best environments to have conversations with your sons, because you're in a natural place to actually have sideways.
And you can talk about anything that might be difficult. So you can have the sex talk, or all of your sex talks.
Yes, all the conversations happen in the car because they're trapped.
That's right.
Not only
let's go to Dairy Queen.
They're trapped. They
and
cannot
every time
get
you
out.
go to Dairy Queen, the kid's like, oh no.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I know. It's so true. Like kids start getting nervous. It's like, okay, great. What is Dad going to talk to me now? But the cars is a great way. Sports is a great way. Cooking. This is why cooking is actually great, because again, you're talking sideways.
Oh, that's true.
Right? Because you're all. So it's like natural environments that actually talk sideways. And the other one that I actually do, again, I do this more in my office. But if a boy, like if a guy is just not talking, I'll actually give him a pen and paper, just so he's like doodling or something, and it actually reduces eye contact. So just realize that that's actually a really great way for actually connecting with boys.
Okay, you also say you need to get to the point. And we've discussed this many times, but I don't think we can say it enough.
Yes, get to the point. I've actually watched so many moms and their teen guys in my office, and the mom will start going on about this story that reminded her when she was a little girl, and he's gone. Like, he is nowhere. He is planning what he's doing the next day. And I tell him, like, you got to get to the point.
Yes.
Yeah, like condense it. Get to the point. They really kind of want it like Cole's Notes version.
Okay.
So really, and everyone's thinking these apply to husbands. I know. See, I know.
Get to the point.
Get to the point, ladies. Get to the point. Let's just kind of get to the point.
Maximize talking during meals. So you sort of mentioned this, but is this different?
Well, in terms of the meals, is actually yes. In terms of sitting. So there's one thing in terms of when you're cooking, it's a natural way in terms of you're talking sideways. But mealtime, I find, is one of the best ways to have really great conversations. I find, you know, just yesterday I was at home with my twin boys who are 5, and at mealtime, it's amazing. Like, they'll pop out things that happen throughout the day. It's not prompted, and there's something about having a beginning and an end point. We're all sitting, we're all at the same eye contact level, and you know the whole saying, you know, that connected to a man through his stomach. It's kind of like, I do think, I remember years ago when my husband and we were newlyweds, and my mom would say, you know, if you've got a conflict, make sure you bring it up during a meal.
Yeah.
And so I remember him coming home this one day, and I like made this big feast, and then I'm like, oh honey, I've got to talk to you about something. And he was like, you know, eating, but I had his full attention. It's actually a really great strategy.
Okay.
I know, everyone's going to go home and making their husbands a great meal,
have a good
and have a talk.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And the last one is be funny. It's actually a really great way to actually to talk to your sons is try to be funny.
Right.
They've actually done some research that if people are funny, even in a job interview, you actually have a higher chance of getting the job.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Because I think that people would go into an interview thinking I have to be serious. I'm never serious, but
I think
know some people
woman
probably feel the need to be serious.
If you can get the guy, if you can get your interviewer to laugh, at least once during your interview, you have a much higher chance of actually getting the job. And a lot of commercials that are targeted to guys, it's actually funny. They're funny. So there's something about being funny.
Right.
So don't do your knock-knock jokes, but try to think of something that is kind of, you know. I had one mom that actually, you know what she did? Is she actually researched YouTube videos that were really funny. And so when her son came home, she's like, oh my goodness, check this out.
Right.
And it was just a way for them to connect. But like humor is very, very powerful for boys.
Okay, I think that is good. You know, and that would work with some women as well, because if you're funny, I will listen to you forever.
Right.
I will. You can tell me anything you want.
Right.
So we are going to get into the tips with how to talk to your daughters a little bit later in the show, but really great points there,
Thanks,
Dr. Karyn
Tracy.
Gordon. Let's go to break. We've got more coming up.